all our panelists actually logged on. So I would like to thank you all for making time to attend the webinar. My name is Marianne Dadwantinda, and I'm the moderator for this session. So I'm a lecturer in the School of Computing, University of Namibia, and at the same time, a PhD student at the University of Turku. So we're going to talk about software engineering graduates' competencies and university industry collaborations in Namibia. So in this context, I'm going to define employability as the skills, knowledge, and personal attributes needed to get a job. And competencies, I'm going to define it as the ability to use knowledge, skills, and personal, social, or methodological abilities in work or study situations, and professional and personal development. So when we talk about graduates getting a job, we refer to relevant. So normally full-time employment in the industry or public sectors, starting after completion of a university degree. So please mute. Okay, so basically for simplicity, we use the term industry to refer to employers in commercial businesses, public sectors, as well as NGO. So in Namibia, we have three big universities offering different computing degrees, namely software engineering, computer science, information technology, and information systems, of which those graduates can be employed as software engineers. So also in Namibia, students take the pragmatic approach in deciding to attend university and expect their degree to prepare them well for the job market and increase their employability. So today, we bring together software engineering professionals and lecturers in the country. So I will start off the discussion with the software engineering professionals. So those are the guys from the industry, then move on.
You mute yourself, Ndapewa.
Okay, so I actually just saw that I don't know how I did that, but I'll of course, I think I ended off by saying that, you know, in Namibia, basically, the students take that approach in deciding to attend university and expect their degree to prepare them well, you know, for the job market and increase their employability. So today we bring together software engineering professionals. Those are the guys from the industry and the lecturers from three different universities in the country. So I'll start off the discussion with the software engineering professionals, then move on to the lecturers and conclude with a joint discussion. So I would like to ask the panelists to briefly introduce themselves and ask the audience to post their comments and questions in the chat. So we'll attend to the questions and the chat at the end of the session. So over to the panelists, starting off with Seblon. Seblon, are you there? Okay, maybe I can ask Chris to start off.
Okay, Chris is here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mr. Christophe Namukuya. I am head of department software engineering at a company called Stilnam IT Solutions. We are a private company that is owned, and we are in the business to provide software solutions to either the public sector or the private sector. And in most cases, actually, I'm glad that we are discussing this topic, because Stilnam is one of the companies that each year we try to bring in fresh new interns, or we bring interns as part of their programs at the university to help them complete that course. So I've been in the industry roughly maybe for about 10 years. And yeah, I've started off also as, I was at that stage also where I was a fresh new graduate. I was also struggling a bit to join the industry because, like we are discussing today, we are trying to find out what are the gaps or what we do to make the gap less. So thank you for inviting me to this discussion, and yeah, let's deal with it.
Kasera, can you please introduce yourself? And maybe for the, to the panelists, can you just switch on your camera? Thank you, so that we can see your faces. Kasera, we cannot hear you.
Hello, Marie.
Yeah, now we can hear you. We can't hear you, Kasera. Okay, so while Kasera is fixing the connectivity on that side, Hilma, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Hilma Aludinu. I'm a computer science and IT graduate. So I'm currently newly graduate. So I'm currently a graduate programmer at Nampower.
Sablon, are you back?
Yes, Maria, I'm here.
Yeah, can you please introduce
hi, everyone.
yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Sebulon David. I'm the CEO and founder of Glorum Africa. And we specialized in providing software services to education institutions in digitalization. We have been involved in local projects as well as regional and national, and now we're scaling into the Southern African region. Thank you, and looking forward to the discussion.
Okay, I think Kasera is still sorting out the connections on his side, so he can move on to the academics. Esther, could you kindly introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Esther Pietrus, and I'm a lecturer at IUM. And actually, I'm a graduate of UNAM, computer science. And I've been a lecturer for the past 5, 6, 7 years now in the software development.
Thank you, Esther. Kapwire, can you introduce yourself? Thank you. And you are muted.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, so,
Yes.
so my name is Gideon Kapwira, and I'm currently the Deputy HOD for the Computer Science Department at NUST, and more specializing in the software development. I'm also a lecturer in the software development stream. And I've been at NUST for more than 15 years, almost to 20 now. And so I'm also, besides that, I'm the lecturer, I'm also the coordinator for placement for students, for the work integrated learning students, especially the software development students. So I've been handling that portfolio for the past maybe 7, 8 years now. And so that in a nutshell, that's me. Thank you.
Over to Titus.
Okay, through the chair, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Titus Aidua. I am a software engineering graduate from Han University. and also a product of NAST in particular. And I'm currently serving at the University of Namibia as an information technology lecturer. It's nice meeting you. Back to the chair.
Okay, so one of the panelists is actually connecting. So he will join us, when he's connected. Okay, so thank you for the brief introduction. Among our panelists, we have Hilma, the only recent graduate. So Hilma, can you please tell us about your first experience working as a software developer?
So my first experience, Maria, working as a developer, I was still a student. I was fourth year. I joined a development company. So the whole transition from being in a school, academic-wise environment to more of a technical, solving, let's say, call them real-world problems and all that was, for me, was exciting. But still, as a student that time, I was nervous, which was still the same when I graduated. Exciting because I was so eager to go out there in the industry and just start working on projects and, in the whole new setup apart from school, which I'm used to. And then the experience was okay for me. It was a good one. The working environment was nice. It was comfortable. It was also a learning environment. So the only thing that I was nervous about, I think deep down, I wasn't sure if I always sometimes ask myself, was I, how do I say it? Was I well prepared for this to go out in the industry and just, start being a whole software developer and working on real projects and not projects where you just get 4 marks and then life continues. So for me, it was a nice experience, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you, Hilma. And Joseph just logged on. Joseph?
Yes, can you hear me now? I pray you
Yes,
hear me.
yes,
Okay.
yes, we can hear you now. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, no, thank you. My name is Joseph Casera. I'm the IT supervisor for applications at NBC. Before I was consulting for a Pan-African company where we did projects in Namibia, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. So I'm also a UNAM graduate, and I like actually the discussion because, as I think the previous speakers mentioned, we've all been in these shoes where we come from an academic world and then have to fit into the industry, and sometimes you limp and eventually you get running. So I really want to thank Maria for the platform, and I hope that there's actually a lot of people who are signed in and who will be able to learn a lot, and hopefully that the academic and the industry can find a point of consensus for the benefit of the industry in Namibia. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. And I'm actually happy that you managed to log on. So, Hilma, thank you so much for sharing your experience. So the next question I'll actually ask Seblon, who is the CEO at Glowdom Africa. So Glowdom actually started off, as a small company, but now it expanded, guys. So I actually look up on Seblon, his work actually quite inspires me. And the fact that, he actually part of the company developed software for educational solutions, that's actually quite inspiring to me. So Seblon, I believe that you have new software engineers under your wing. And then, of course, based on your experience, do newly graduates have the necessary skills expected in the industry? And also, can you just talk about the knowledge deficiency, if there is any? Seblon, are you there? Okay, so I think Seblon cannot maybe hear us. So I think with that question, maybe I can ask Chris in Casera. So as Chris indicated earlier, he also has some new software engineers basically under his supervision, and same applies to Joseph, right? So can you share your experience on what I just discussed, earlier? So basically, your experience of the newly graduate skills. Do they have the necessary skills expected in the industry? Would you say that? And also, is there any knowledge deficiency?
Thank you. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one because, I always believe people are different. And having met people, I think that belief has been proven right, because you find you find students who come to the industry as if they've been working for almost 10 years before, well prepared. I don't know. You find those ones that really amaze you, and they do wonders. But then at the same time, you find those who raise eyebrows. You ask yourself, okay, because I mean, especially having studied the whole IT thing, there are some basics that you expect, especially you expect some of these things to have been taught in the second, third year, and or at least even the first year, and you see those deficiencies. So it's a tricky in form of generalizing, because you work with them and they are different. But I think in terms of preparation, the universities try their best way possible, and then it comes down to individuals. And I've been lucky enough to have worked with people who are top notch, and at the same time, people who have really, giving you a headache. But yes, that's why we are where we are now.
Just to add on what Mr. Casera has said, as I said, yeah, you meet different people. Some, when they come, they are prepared. Some, when they come, it's like they've forgotten what they have learned. Because, okay, university is supposed to give them the background, just the knowledge base. Now, when you come in the industry, you are supposed now to expand that. Now, and then, in the industry, we are in the industry to make money. Time is money for me. So when I have someone joining my company or my department, I want at least minimum 3 months, I'm taking baby steps with you. But as time goes by, I want you to pick up very fast. So you'll find that, okay, most of them, maybe they only know how to code. But now if you say, okay, now I give you a project that you must run completely from design, development, implementation, going live. There's a deficiency in running that whole process. Or to say, okay, I give you a requirement document from the client. I want you to translate it into a workable solution or into a system that we are going to provide to our client. So you will find that, okay, the deficiency is there. Maybe they know how to code, but they would not know how now to take the requirements of the client and then translate it into a design, into a complete design of what solution you are going to give to the client. Okay, obviously you have fast learners, slow learners, and then, yeah, sometimes you need to be patient. Some of the people, some of the students, when they come in the industry, they might know how to code, but now when it comes to expressing themselves or communicating, then they lack in that area. And then now, because for me in the industry, I want someone who should be able to say, okay, I must be able to send you even a loan to a client. But if you're only good maybe in technical, but then in the other area you are lacking a bit, then it becomes a problem for me, and also just to take you up with me to say, okay, now I'm going to put you in my department and then you become my full-time employee. So the deficiency is there, but I think the universities, they do well to give them the background. So I think the foundation is fine. It's just that they're just not prepared to what they come and meet in the industry, because it's a different playing field. It's not the same as academic, because in academia, maybe you might be having a book that you are covering within 6 months. Me, who is running a project, I want you to learn something within a week. So I'll give you a book of 300 pages and say, okay, please finish reading this book, because by next week, we must start preparing something for a client who wants a solution by when. So also that, the kind of pressure that comes with in the industry, also some of them, they are not prepared for that kind of pressure to say, okay, you are squeezing me too much. This is too much. You can't just put me on pressure like this. Yeah, just in summary or in short.
Yeah, just to add on to what I think Chris is saying, I actually like the fact that he kind of gave everything, because that is the reality. That is the real reality, because, but what I maybe forgot is, you see, from the trend I think is many people come from varsity with coding, like Chris is saying. But in terms of design, I think there might be a gap there, because many of the students, in terms of design, things like your business processes, the data flow diagrams, those types of designs, the groundwork before you actually end up building it. I've seen some form of consistency in terms of lack of knowledge. It's more of coding, and the rest, you obviously train them, but and then depending on how fast they come, they catch up or not.
Okay, thank you, Chris and Joseph. Seblon? Seblon, are you there? Okay, so I think maybe Seblon has some connectivity issues, but by the way, so Chris and Joseph, you mentioned about the knowledge deficiency, right? So what do you actually do to help the students catch up in that regard?
Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah, let me go first. You know, for us, most of our projects, they involve database programming. Okay, I know as you first 3 months, I'm not letting them work, okay, first on a client project. I'm first training them SQL programming, and then one of the core languages that on whatever department I'm planning to put them, if I'm planning to put them maybe on web design, then I must also give them an introductory course on like PHP, Java, just an introductory course for them to know. And then one of the main things that I usually train all of them in is the database architecture design, because this is, it's important for any project, because the database design focuses on the design. Once you have the design right, then your development, implementation, and maintenance of this program is going to be easier. So usually now we have seen that, okay, most of them, okay, they know the term, what is an ERD diagram, they know. But now if you give them something and say, can you interpret this for me? Or can you, okay, or I give you a scenario, can you design for me an ERD diagram? Most of them, they lack in this area. So that's why mostly when I get new graduates, I must first train them database architecture, and also just sure SQL training, because I believe in school, I don't know, practicals. So I do also just a bit of SQL programming with them before they can start any actual work. Joseph, you can go ahead.
All right. No, thanks, Chris. And I totally agree with what Chris is saying, because obviously the first months it's kind of a learning process. But then in my case, I usually like to have what you call test projects. I don't allow these guys to work on anything live in the first months, because I've tried it. It brings problems. You see, you have to do serious cleanup. You see, so what you do is you give them the test project. Maybe I don't know, come up with something, booking ABCD that requires the skills for them to kind of qualify the best way you evaluate. So you give them a project and then guide them. So you give a project, you sit, you let them do it. They can do it from home. They can do it however they want. They take their time, and then they come to you and for questions, for guidance, for anything. That's why you check also the communication skills. So only after that is done, then you are in a position to say, okay, let's go. Welcome. You can now touch this. That's even the time you give them the IP addresses. You see, so it's more of and I always believe it's important for some people to learn, especially in software engineering, to learn at their own comfort. So during the day, I'll assist you, but later I'll expect you to put in extra work to catch up, because like Chris is saying, especially for businesses where you're doing software for clients, it's a bit challenging because time is money. But then in my space right now, like at NBC, you see, you have serious delivery because you are saving at the national level. So a mistake, let's say one of the servers are off, it's the NBC that's off, you see. So it becomes headlines the following day. Now having said that, I think it's across, depending on which company, but I think it's across the first month, 2 months, or for me, I actually like to work with weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I handhold you and we train you until you start running very fast. But my expectation is you also have to put in a lot of work yourself, because I'll obviously want to work with somebody who has a heart to take on responsibility by themselves. You know, I don't have to teach you, because I can't teach you forever. I teach you, but eventually you have to start learning yourself. Yes.
Sure, that is actually hectic. So to the graduates, you need to start working. I somehow thought that at university, you won't actually, you actually stop sleeping, but it seems like this no sleeping team continues until we die. Because, like if you hear what Chris and Joseph both said, I think you have to put in, extra hours, but I just want to find out from Chris and Joseph and Seblon. I think, Seblon, are you back? Seblon, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm back.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. So maybe before we go back to Seblon, I just want to find out from Chris and Joseph, right?
All
So
right.
what
I'll
happens?
just...
So Chris and Joseph, what actually happens if you find yourself with this student who is just not picking up? Or maybe there was never a case like that. I don't know. But was there ever an incident where you had the student and, regardless of all the books you give them, all the training, the student is just struggling. So what do you do to assist, such a student?
The cases are there. We call them dead woods because you do not want to continue on and on with a dead wood in your company. That's why we see also as a company from the company side now, for us to be on a safe side, we take you to say, okay, you are an intern, meaning you are not yet a full-time employee. So you are not yet in my full-time employee. So you are just an intern, meaning you are a temp. So like I'm saying, I work with months. I say, okay, I first give you 3 months, then I do an assessment. I'll make you write a test. I'll make you do a small project. All these things as you are doing, I'm assessing you, your communication skills, your technical skills, your interaction skills with the team, your design skills, your user interface design, everything I'm testing you. So if I see you are not picking up anything, you are not moving forward, all I do, I say goodbye. Because for me, I'm not in university. Remember, I'm investing money in you. I'm investing money in you. As I'm training you, that at that point is I'm actually just putting money in you. But there comes a point where now I want you to pay back. I need an output now from you. But now if the output is not gonna come back from you, then I immediately just say goodbye. I've tried, but yeah, this is where we end. I know it's brutal, but it has to be done.
Joseph, over to you.
Yeah, no, thanks. You see, what Chris is saying is very, very clear and very, very true, because you see, and this is where, like myself, going forward, getting people, I always feel if you're a senior person and you're gonna get people, you're gonna have a team, you really need to assess them from the get-go before bringing them in. Actually, I feel that is the only way, because so that at least your minimum requirements, the basic, because because many people who end up not learning in my cases, people, let's say, who come and, for example, they don't even know how to set up SQL Server. You hear me? You don't know that already is a big problem to me. You see, so before you come, I obviously, it's part of the evaluation, because what we've tried to avoid is just going and just get students just because they are students, they come in as interns. No, you get these guys from the get-go. You need to filter. So you filter, you check, okay, you need to at least be able to do this, and you become flexible. Let them do it at their own time. So Google, if you must, do what you have to do, but if you can demonstrate that you have the basics, and for me, I think the minute you can demonstrate you have the basics, and because remember, I'm going to put pressure on you before even coming to the company. I'm putting pressure on you to do something in a short time at your own pace. So if you can demonstrate that you have the willingness to work, I think it's not really a problem. So you see, after 2 months, the student is still struggling. I think you look at about 6 months for you to finally make a call. But in my case, it doesn't have to get there. Just when you evaluate, you already see that here I'm gonna have headaches, here, and then you see also the guys who what you're asking. The minimum you're asking is you're stretching them, but they put in the work. They work overnight to make sure they give you a result that is of quality, and then when they come on board, they know what you expect, and they start pulling up. But then if it ever happens that that somebody is not learning, then like Chris said, you either you go or we find for you something else, because sometimes people get lucky because as you are working with with your people, you study them, so you might see that, oh, okay, this person is not really a developer. It's more into, let's say, it's very good at support. So if there's room for support in the company, in the department, so eventually we shift you to that section. You find yourself doing that, and because you clearly can't do software engineering work. So either you go or we find for you a place that best meets you, because like Chris said, you can't teach things that you're supposed to know at the industry level. You see, I can't become a lecturer now and teach you for the next 3 years. You see, so that's actually how I handle it. You either move them to a different department, or then they have to go.
Sure, that's quite hectic. That's
Mm.
hectic, guys. So you know,
Just to add on maybe to what Joseph said, it's okay. Maybe if I see you are not performing you are not good at developing or coding, maybe I might move you to something different. Yeah, sometimes there's room for that to say, okay, you are not maybe good at developing, but maybe you are good at analyzing, you are good at writing documents, you are good at talking to clients, you are good at getting requirements and doing all these things. Yeah, if there's room for that, I move you to that. But already if that space is filled, then, because my primary objective is to get good developers, good software engineers. So that's my primary aim.
Yes, and you see what Chris is saying is, you see, nobody, and it goes out to, I think, everybody. You know, nobody wants to work with, nobody wants to have a team, and then he ends up doing the work of the whole team. So you want to have a team that is responsible, that is capable, and when you task them, they can live up to your expectations. You don't, because if you don't have that team, if you bring on guys who are not delivering, you will be forced to, it will stress you as a senior. You might end up micromanaging, which is a very big problem. So your management skills will be drastically changed. Nobody wants that. So you want people to be doing things that are in their strengths. Yes.
Okay, sure. So to the graduates, guys, you need to start working. Most of you will be graduating next year. So you need to show, the industry that you're willing to learn. And of course, you're going to talk about the attitudes.
Yeah, I did, Mrs.
So, Seblon, we're actually talking about newly graduate skills, right? Seblon, can you hear me? Seblon? Okay, so I think Seblon actually has connection, issues. So let's
yes,
move on.
I can hear you, Maria.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. So basically, we're talking about new software engineering. Like their skills, right? So you are a CEO and a founder of Glodom, right? So I actually believe that you have, the new software engineers under your wing, right? So what are those skills that the industry basically expect? And is there any knowledge, deficiency? So that's actually what we've been discussing on.
Okay. Thank you so much for the question and the opportunity. Maybe just to highlight, I see that it has already been mentioned by the other speakers, is that we as the industry or institutions that are employing graduates, we have a very, very, very big problem in the country right now. And that is tied specifically on the skills and the competency to deliver value. And that comes to now you questioning yourself, why are you paying the people at the end of the month when they are not able to deliver value to the customers, which then determines the value and the revenue that comes into the business. So there are about 4 areas that I think they are very crucial, and I've learned over the years, through very painful situations, is that you'd really want to get the plumbers of software. That is what you're looking for in the industry. You are not looking for people who would give you a lot of explanation, challenged, or when they're given a task to execute. You want a person who is ready to to deliver value at any given point in time, which means this person is supposed to be sharp, very good at thinking and analyzing challenges and problems that needs to be solved. So it boils down to, now, as software developers, the person has to really have computational thinking. What I mean by computational thinking is that these to decompose a problem. We have a big problem, you need to be able to break it down into smaller chunks. Person is broken down the problem into smaller chunks, is that this person, this individual, should be able to identify patterns so that we don't find ourselves spending or as a company. So we expect a person to be able to observe and to identify those patterns and say, look, I think we have a similar case here and so and so. And another thing that is very important when I'm dealing with software developers is that these individuals should be able to do abstractions. They should be able to look at a lot of things and be able to drill down to the specific thing that they need to do. Because there can be so many distractions, but then there's only 1 or 2 things that one needs to concentrate on. So what I expect from the software developer is that these individuals should be able to look at a lot of things, but they should be able to ignore the unnecessary things and really drill down to what is important. So that is number 3. And the number 4 is that this person, once they have identified that specific thing that they need to concentrate on, then they should be able to read them a series of steps to say, look, this is and this is what I'm going to do. Number 2, I'm going to. Yes, Maria?
Seblo, your network is cutting. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Maria.
Okay, now your network was cutting. So can you just repeat,
Okay,
like...
Okay, so what I was explaining is, sorry to the audience and everybody that my network is cutting, but the crucial thing that I'm saying is that when I'm dealing with software developer who is able to do, individuals should be able to do them to know how to decompose a big problem into a smaller chunks that they are easy to manage. Number 2, want them to know how to identify in problem solving, so that we don't find ourselves repeating ourselves doing or spending much time on problems that we have already solved. And then number 3 is that I expect these individuals to be able to do abstractions, which means they ignore irrelevant things, not so important things, and focus on to create solutions for this. And then number 4 is or a series of steps how they are going to solve the problem. So which means if they are going to solve a task from the beginning already, they should give me how they are going to address the challenge. So they give me a plan of how I'm going to evaluate their tasks, whether they've completed or not completed. Because then also that gives me an opportunity as a leader to advise them from the beginning so that we don't spend a lot of time and effort doing or creating a wrong solution. So in addition to that is that I expect these individuals to have the technical skills. As I've mentioned earlier, I expect them to of software, not people who are giving explanations, to deliver the practical side of the solution. And then the other thing is that I expect them to be to have an entrepreneurial mindset. To us, we are creating value for the customers to pay money, and for the customers to give us their money, we need to be able to deliver value to them. And then the last one is I've seen that the other presenters have already touched it, but it's more they should be able to present and pitch ideas that of the solutions that they've created. Maybe let me end there for now, Maria.
Okay. No, thank you very much, Seblon. So based on the discussion, basically we have learned that the software engineering field actually requires students to have diverse skills, right? Be it technical and non-technical skills. So this question goes to Hilma. Hilma, what did you expect from the industry in terms of skills when you started as a software developer?
When I started, I knew I had to know the basics, my programming, the development cycles, and the methodologies to use. So the basics, when I went, I knew I was okay with that. So because I knew at least when I go to a place, someone is not supposed to start with me from even the basics that I already knew. So I made sure I'm okay with that. So that is more of technical, just, still coming from school, I didn't expect to know everything. It was still a chance for me to go learn from the industry. And then when it comes to soft skill, I mean, you're in software, we are coming up with solutions. So problem solving was something that I also knew I had to be good at. Effective communication skills that I knew that I had to. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if I have to go communicate or have sessions with the client or even just with the team itself. So these skills I had to have, not maybe so good here, but I knew I had to have those. And I think some other skills, some I knew that I knew myself. Some I was honest and open that this I don't know. I would learn from here, from work. And also, yeah, just also when you know when I think it was a matter of being honest that for this I'm not so good with it, but I knew what it is, but I am not well there that I could already start doing something. And then, yeah, just being like that. So I think those are the skills that, at least for me, I knew they had to be on the table already.
Did you learn this from university, or how did you actually, come about, knowing these skills? Because listening to Joseph and Casera, these are some of the skills that they have mentioned, especially the soft skills. I think that is one thing that most graduates tend to ignore, right? So Hilma, did you maybe attend a seminar, or you got this from your degree program, or how did you know about these skills?
So some of them, most of them, okay, if we are to be honest, some of these skills we are being taught in school, I mean, when you get a presentation or a project on, you are going to present it, you are going to do all these soft skills which are needed. But then let's say in school, we are just too lenient, like, yeah, it's just presentation. You just go there, you say what you, not knowing that these are the skills that will go save us also in the industry. So some are from school. Some you attend certain things here, you see how people are doing, even if it wasn't in a work environment. You attend a seminar here, someone is presenting their project of something they developed. So those are the chances while you're in school, you get to get up some of the soft skills.
Okay, thank you, Hilma. So to Casera, Seblon, and Chris, so you mentioned about skills, and then of course we have learned that software engineering graduates actually are expected to have all these skills. So in short, or maybe just to mention two, can you maybe mention two of the most important soft skills and two of the most important technical skills that employees expect from these newly graduates? And then also, are those the same skills that you look at when hiring, or do you consider more skills?
Hi, thanks. It's tricky to bring it down to two in terms of maybe an order or something. So they're quite it's random, and it's also depending on the environment, I think. But for me, I think at this point in time, I'm thinking if a graduate has very, very good communication skills and what's the other one? In accountability, communication and accountability. For me, as soft skills, those are the things that actually play a role. Because if I have somebody who can, like Hilma was saying, who can upfront tell me their gap, where they are, and then I can correctly know how to help them. You see, I can quickly spot that place, polish that area, and then I expect them to be running fast. So communication is key. And also when they're working on projects, you see, many people think they're afraid to involve seniors because they're afraid that maybe they'll be fired, but it actually, when you are stuck and you ask, it actually shows that you know what you're doing. Instead of, sitting on a desk, you are stuck for a week and the work is not getting done, you see. So communication, I think, is very, very key. And then secondly is accountability. Accountability, especially in the software space. You want, everybody, I think, wants somebody who can when things go bad, because not all the time that things go right. When things go bad, somebody who can be accountable, somebody who can say, oh, okay, I missed this. Then at least then somebody can say, oh, okay, then they know, maybe recommend a course, you see, maybe like nowadays there's Udemy, and I can quickly have a Udemy course paid for you, and you do it. But accountability and communications is one of the key things that needs to come with a student. Now, in terms of technical, there's quite a lot. But at this point in time, I think design is key for me. Yeah, yes, too. There's quite a lot. So I'll probably give you broad. I won't be able to drill down. So I think design skills, the ability to design, and when I'm talking about design is now the most important design skill for me is the ability to do proper business processes. That one, I think, especially in this modern era, you can't run away from it. So, and then all the other designs that we mentioned, and maybe I think database skills will be the second. So design, very good design, and ability to move around the databases. So those two skills, I think, when somebody comes with those two skills, it's easier for them to get off and running. With guidance and training, you will find them fine. Yeah.
Okay. Just to add on what Joseph has said, Okay, I won't really talk too much on the hard skills, but yeah, the hard skills, what we expect, mainly what we look for is domain knowledge and technical skills. You must be technically good, but we feel like, okay, they have a lot of theory, they've done a lot of reading, they just need to know how to apply it. On the soft skills now, this is where, okay, most of them are struggling because maybe one of the soft skills that they struggle with is professionalism. Because when you come in the industry, the behavior must change. You must transform from being a student to being an employee of a company that must behave in a certain way. Even the way you talk changes. And then the second one is group dynamics. This one is especially required in modern agile software development, which is more strongly based on communication and interaction with your whole team and the customer, unlike the traditional waterfall approaches. So group dynamics is one of the soft skills that people really need to have because like we are saying, the world is moving to agile, software development lifecycle, and there's a lot of interactions, there's a lot of communication. So you must, like Joseph said, don't be stuck with a problem and then you expect your supervisor to come and ask you, because remember, you are part of a chain. Now, the moment you are stuck, you are also going to delay the whole project or the whole delivery schedule. So you must know, when I'm stuck, I must communicate to who. You must also know the channels of communications. So this is some of the skills that they need to learn, and then they must pick up on these ones. The other thing is probably just self-management. Eh? When you become employed, you must be able to do your job without someone having to check up on you all the time. You must be able to stay on top of your deadlines. Now, if maybe you encounter a problem and then maybe your supervisor might be running with other things, he will not be able to check up with you every day sometimes. Just to say, okay, today your activities are this. Were you able to do all of them? If not, which one are you stuck with? How can I help you? How can I assist you? Or what do we need to do to reshuffle things? So self-management is also very important, and it's one of the soft skills that new graduates, they must have, or they must train themselves. No, some of these things, I know university also cannot train you on all these things, like especially self-management. You must invest time in your own. Go and find things. Nowadays, you have Google, you have YouTube, you have everything at your exposure. On your free time, find time to learn about these things.
Teblon, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I want to add, Chris, thanks, because I think Chris basically covered it, and especially from a broader perspective.
Yes, I'd like to.
Okay, Teblon, go ahead, and then we go back to Joseph.
Oh, all right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. I just want to give those. It's very but the main thing really is that if I'm to take a graduate, number one, the graduate needs to be teachable. This must be someone who is looking forward to learn and improve, and to also understand that what they know is only a tip of an iceberg, and there's still more and a lot of things to learn for them to position themselves in the global arena. So number one, the person must be teachable, that is looking forward to learn. And then, number two is that this person
Seblon, your network is cutting again. Seblon. 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 Okay, so Kasera, can you maybe just say what you were about to say while Seblon, yeah, come back.
Okay, no, that's fine. Just to, okay.
Yes,
Seblon,
Seblon. Seblon, your network is cutting. Okay, so Joseph, you can just go ahead. Joseph?
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. Like I was saying, I think it's important when you're coming from university to understand that you are not just looking for a job. You need to look at it from a perspective of a career. It's your career, it's your life. So learning needs to happen autonomously. So what needs to happen is you need to be able to learn by yourself as well. You see, you need to be, it's like you find the guys who are into agriculture. You see, they make it their life. So with software engineering, I think especially from varsity, to make it easy for you and easier for your employer anywhere in the world, it needs to be a career. It's an ongoing thing, perfection over perfection, and then like Chris said, then it makes it easier for you to be employable, and because that then brings up this whole thing of professionalism, self-management and all that. So I think it's more of career. Look at it from a career, not just a job. When you have a job, yes, you are blessed, but work on the career, which is the umbrella.
We're having problems with Seblon. I think he's trying to find connectivity. But anyways, thank you, Joseph, and Chris. So we still have the guys from the industry, so we should be fine. So this question goes to Hilma. Hilma, Chris and Joseph mentioned a few skills, right? Did you actually struggle with any of these skills, or how did you? Maybe I should rephrase the question. Like some of the skills, of course, you knew from the university, but then some you had to learn on the go. So how did you actually deal with this whole situation?
Can you hear me, Maria?
For me, when it came to skills,
yes, Seblon, we can hear you. Okay, so I don't know how I'll do this. Seblon? I think maybe we can go back to Hilma. Yes. Or can you, is your network fine now?
I hope so.
Oh, okay, it's fine. Then we can go back to Hilma later. It's fine, Seblon, you can go ahead.
Okay. What I was emphasizing is on the specific skills to say that we specifically look for people who are teachable, people who are willing to learn new skills, because it's practically impossible to learn everything at the higher institution. And the curriculums are not really very much, focused, in addressing the issues. And plus, the technology is changing so fast So it's important that from the company perspective, we look for people who are willing to learn new things because the industry is changing every now and then. The other thing which is also very important to us is that the person needs to be a team player, because it's very impossible for one to work alone in the software industry. It's very important that one collaborate and work with others, and also be willing to make mistakes. It's not we're not looking for people who are perfect or something like that. So what we are looking for in terms of soft skill, and they are willing to make mistakes and they are able to work with others. And
Seblon, are you there?
yes, I'm here. I thought maybe Hilma was still talking.
No. It's fine. We can hear you. Please just continue.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, on the practical side or the technical side, we've seen that a lot of people fell in love. They actually fell in love with the specific languages. So what we are looking for on the practical side or the technology side is that we are pretty much looking for people who are good in mostly the LAMP stack, which means they should be good in Linux and Unix sort of systems. And they should have some database, skills. And this is really like building something or even having something very practical that they are able to show and say, this is what I've built. If a person comes to me with a system that they've built themselves, then I can hire them, straight away, instead of them having to tell me or reading a CV full of so many nice things. So I look for people who have at least some knowledge in, that I know that they've played around with the Linux, Unix related systems, and also the database. And plus, they should have a very good, or fluent in deploying solutions at a much faster rate. Which means they should have some knowledge, for example, in using Docker, for example, or let's say Elasticsearch, for example, things like that, which is some of the things that are trending at a very high speed right now in the industry.
Okay, thank you, Seblon. Over to Hilma.
Oh, okay. Yes. So what I was saying is most of the skills I didn't really struggle with them. Like I said, some of them I came with them from schools and here and there where I attended workshops or other things. And I think technical side, I was okay. I could, do all the basic things and so on. So it was just a matter of my supervisor going to another level and going to specific things like, yes, this is what we use. Here we use for web development is this and this and this. Do you know it? Then it was I think let's more call it being honest in the place where you are learning. If you know something, yes, I know this, I'm able to do this, I'll do it, and then I'm like, oh, I'm done. Is this okay? Is this what you were trying to say? If I don't know, I'm like, I've never heard about that, but give me 5 minutes, let me check what it is, and then he can go further and explain to me what it does or how he intends us to use it. But I think the other thing a bit was just working with more users, like a lot of users. I think there's a difference here where when you come from a software development place where you are developing for clients who you don't see and don't have to call you every day, but in places where you are in a company and colleagues and the whole company is using this software, you are in constant communication with them. So yeah, that was more of the things that I had to learn. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Hilma. Based on what Hilma just discussed, I've picked up that honesty and communication is actually key, right? So Chris, Joseph, and Seblon actually touched on the attitudes that the students, should have when entering the industry. Maybe just in short, can you just highlight, what the attitudes, the attitudes that you expect from newly graduates? Although you have, of course, here and there touched on that, maybe just to highlight a few, like what attitude do you actually expect, like from the newly graduates?
Let me start. Okay, the attitude they must have, they must be able to cope with ambiguity, because in the industry, every day you will hear something new, something different that you have never heard of. Just like Hilma said, okay, your boss tells you this and you don't know about it. It's an ambiguity, or we have never heard about it. So they must be able to cope with it and then immediately able to already read up on that ambiguity, whatever you heard, and then make sense out of it. And then they must have curiosity to learn new things. And they must have the passion and the drive to innovate. You must always think, okay, there's this problem, we can solve it this way. You must be able to suggest like solutions to your boss so that you become participating in whatever your company is trying to give to your clients. And the other thing is, okay, sometimes you have external and internal clients. So you must be willing to commit clients. Sometimes they are internal, sometimes they are external. So you must be willing also to sharpen yourself in that area of, because remember, you are a software engineer. When you are communicating to, let me say, your customers, they are not IT professionals. You must be able to interact with them in a way that they will understand. So that's also one thing that the software engineers, they must be able to express themselves to a non-IT person. So they must have that kind of attitude to say, okay, I'm willing to talk to anyone. Or if the CEO of your company calls you, you must know how to handle that situation or how to communicate to them.
Thank you, Chris.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Joseph?
Yeah, no, thanks. I think Chris basically covered it, but just to add, I think it's very important for a software developer, especially not even a developer, especially a graduate. You see, as much as you know what you know, it's very important to be humble. To be humble, because what I've learned is many people who come, especially take on first-time jobs, they've Googled so much. There are so many things in the world. You hear me? Now, when they come, they try so much to change the company. You see, but why not using Oracle? Why not using, you see, those types of things. So when you come, you need to be able to be humble, study and learn, and then act. So it's very important to understand that the world will always have so many things, but each company has its own benchmarks, to call it, its own standards. So you need to be able to humble yourself, have some form of humility, and be able to communicate with people accordingly. Because remember, you are just a junior. You are just a junior. You have so much to learn and to lose as well. So when you put yourself in that position, you can then, like Hima was saying, your boss can then easily assist you. So in terms of the attitude, I expect somebody who's humble and hungry to work, and the desire to think outside the box. I think it's critical thinking. Somebody who can think, suggest, and work. Because like what I do is, if you come to me and say, oh, can we do A, B, C, D? Then I'm like, okay, let me see it work. Show me, And if it's convincing, we can see how we can incorporate it. So you need to be able to have come up with initiatives. You need to be able to basically, because as a software engineer in companies, I hope many companies are like that. A software engineer is basically the IT manager's right hand, you see, because you are creating solutions. So you are literally the right hand. You are the go-to man. You are that person. If things break, you must always come up with something like this, you know, or at least have thought of something like that if you didn't come up with it. So initiatives becomes a very critical skill as part of your software engineering career. So as you go, you need to have initiatives. A lot of them must have failed, but have them. That list must continue. Yes.
Thank you, Joseph. Seblon, would you like to touch on that?
Excuse me, Maria, I was off. Could you please repeat the question?
So the question is basically on the attitude, right? So, you know, like you have mentioned, you know, like attitudes in your discussion, but then I just want you to just to briefly discuss like the attitudes that you expect from the newly graduates.
All right. So what I expect from the graduates is for people to be proactive, not waiting to be told what to do and things like that. So I expect them to be able to initiate, not just waiting to be told something and then they react to something. So they need to be very proactive, asking questions, you know, engaging, curious to find out more and things like that. So that is one thing that I expect from the graduates. The other thing is that I'm looking for someone who is willing to over deliver, not just to deliver, but to over deliver to the clients. So I expect someone who can stay in the office when others are knocking off at 5. This person can stay in the office until 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I expect this person because I know that it's just a matter of time. The more they put in a lot of effort in their skills, they can easily get to the top. But if someone is saying that they want to become the best in this industry or they want to get a good salary and all that, and they're not willing to put in, you know, blood, sweat, and tears in it, then it's going to be very tough to compete in the industry because it's tough out there, and the best team always wins.
Thank you very much, Seblon. Quite an interesting, you know, discussion, and we somehow running out of time. But with permission from the panelists and the audiences, of course, I apologize to both of you. I hope we can finish the session. Okay, so we spoke on attitude. Maybe just in short to Hilma, what attitude did you have when you started your job?
When I started, I was very curious with a lot of things. So I think I went with an attitude that, I mean, if my supervisor mentions something, and then maybe I don't know about it or I've never heard about it, he knows I'm always going to look at him. I'm like, so what does that do? So how are we planning to use this? So, and I think one thing I always do is every new software or just everything new he says, I always jot it down so that during the weekends I have time to look at all these things. Because when we have to work with them, I'm not coming from 0%. I'm coming from at least 45. I know it can work like this and this, you know. So it's also easier for us to go. And I think it's because I'm in a position where, I mean, if it's not him doing that work, it is me. So I need to be up with it. And also just come up with I think it's still being initiative, you know. I mean, if you released a new version and then the whole user interface, you know, it changed, I think it's reasonable the next day you're like, I'm starting already on working on the user manual for this, because I mean the users in the company need to work around with how to use this with this new, you shouldn't wait for, you have this new thing that your users are going to use and still wait for your supervisor to go on like I think we should come up with a menu. I think that is, those are the things I think I kind of started doing. And just, I think the third thing was open to review and constructive criticism. I can do something and then the next thing is first morning. So I did this. I was trying to hope it solves this problem of ours. Please have a look at it, and then you should be comfortable for whatever comes. If it's not okay, then like no, do it the other way. If it's okay, then like, oh, good job, that was fun. And then in that way you learn, and you have an attitude that motivates someone also to help you learn. I think, yeah, let me just say that.
Wow. Thank you, Hilma. That's quite impressive, and I really hope that the newly graduates learned. They're actually learning from this discussion. So one of the greatest attitudes is actually the willingness to learn. So yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, graduates are more, looking for employment than starting their own company. And then according to Trading Economics Global Micro Models and Analytics Expectations, youth unemployment rate in Namibia is expected to reach 48.80% by the end of 2020. I was actually hoping to get the statistics for software engineers, but I couldn't find anything. So hopefully from this platform, we are going to create, more initiatives, and then of course, develop or come up with more research to be able to support, our software engineering community. So this question basically goes to Seblon. Seblon, you are the only founder and CEO of a company on the panel. So what would you advise a new graduate who wants to start their own company? Seblon, are you there? Okay, I think we have lost Seblon again, so I think we'll post that question. So now I'll move on to the lecturers and combine. So we're actually almost at the end, of the discussion.
Right. The one thing that I would...
Okay.
Yes. Excuse me?
Yes, we can hear you now, Seblon. We can hear you.
Okay. All right. The one thing that I would like to advise the graduate is that they have to ask themselves what is it, who do they want to be? Because I when I look back in my days, is that when I was at the university, I asked myself, I did an introspection on my life, and I wanted to be really somewhere else, and I used my research project that I did at my undergrad to build it, and it's the one that I built into a business that have grown into the other countries, and now are working with the international partners and so on. Plan is that it's these two words: the entrepreneur with the I and the entrepreneur with the E. That when the person start off in the support software engineering. So we have graduate entrepreneurs. You start off like doing your own things. You build an app or whatever solution and all that. You can also join a company, and then join a support team. But then as you are growing up the ladder, you start also like creating your own projects or building your own business within a business, which means you products, and you are able to engage your company that has employed you, for example, to get extra income, for example, from the projects. You kind of like co-create with the company that has employed you. I would advise that one, definitely the person who is graduating right now, before they go to a CEO founder here on the left hand side, they have to start on the right hand side here, where they then have to build up some skills and even build themselves up and get get some leadership, for example, position in an organization, and that's when they can transition, for example, to become an entrepreneur, start innovating, and then own their own companies. But the one thing that I wanted to also add is that it's very crucial that when we are in the software industry, you need to know how to sell. It does not mean that you're just going to be writing codes. So you need to understand the dynamics in the sales, because at the end of the day, this product is going to be used by the customers that are going to buy the product. And then the other thing which is very important is that nowadays we have graduates who are having they are on different social medias, but they're not using them to build up profiles. So the number of followers that you have on Facebook, for example, if you only have 100 followers on Facebook, I'm likely not to employ you because I know that you don't have any influence. But if, let's say, for example, you're a graduate and you have about, let's say, 15 followers on Facebook, then I know that you can add extra value to the company. So we're not only looking at to say this person knows how to code and all that, but we're looking at what influence do they also have among others, and will they be able to drive the sales? Will they be able to start something within the company and initiate projects and things like that? So that's kind of like what I would advise the graduates, that yes, you'd want to get some.
Seblon?
You want to own a business one day and so on, but they up. Yes,
Seblon,
Maria?
can I just catch you? Can I catch you quickly?
Yes,
Seblon, can you hear me? Can you just repeat from the
yes,
point where you actually started advising the graduate? Because we lost you there.
I see that my battery is running out. Okay, so what I'm saying is that the graduates, they really need to understand that for them to, it's really like, they should be able to start off as a solopreneur, for example, whereby they can use their research project as a way of starting off as an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, take their project into a specific company, for example, as they are growing themselves to taking up leadership positions. Now, these entrepreneurs with the I and entrepreneur with the E. And I would advise that people even initiate and try to on the table, not only looking at what can they do for the company, sort of type of a mindset, where then the leaders will then be able to identify those individuals and support them on their ideas. There's so much ideas that just ends up at the research point at the universities, and that they don't get carried away into actual product that goes into the market and getting that, Maria.
Okay. No, thank you, Seblon. Somehow, you're cutting here and there, but then at the end of the session, we're going to just have a short document and put it on the University of Turku's website, and then also and also on Glodom's website as the advice, from Seblon to the newly graduates, so that of course you learn a thing or two. Okay, so we're moving on to the lecturers. So we're running out of time. So, but then we don't really have much questions, with the lecturers. So I hope by 2 we should be done. Okay, so I remember when I was in my second year at university, I've heard, about this industry academia gap. And I'm sure, both the guys who were in the industry and the ones in academia before us, they have looked at this gap. So interventions basically have been proposed, but the gap persists, today. So to Esther, Titus, and Kapwire. So myself, I'm an academic, so I'm taking you back to the literature. So the literature basically uncovers 3 root causes of the academic industry gap, namely lack of faculty awareness, real versus fake projects, and I think Hilma also touched on that, and then resource limitations. Of course, in Namibia, we actually have that. So I want you to just give, like in short, your view on what I just mentioned. So we can start off with Esther? Esther, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, well, as I've been working in the university for quite some time now, so now we did really, or we are experiencing that big gap between the industry and the university, and then now we keep on looking on how to cap or foster this gap, or how do we get to put it together, or how do we get rid of it, which of course it will take some time for us to get rid of it, because what we have in play is that the curriculum, the university curriculum most of the time plays a big role on the theoretical part compared to what the industry is offering. And then with the industry, they are running on the trainings that are not part of the curriculum, and then that is where the challenge comes in. And then as well, we have this thing of resources. Of course, the lack of resources in the universities, that we don't have so much of the provisions. And yeah, and one thing that we are also experiencing is that when we send these students to the industry, what they get out there, like when they go there as interns, what the industry gives to them is work that they are not taught at school. They are given something else, like we have an experience of students that are given to go do printers or fix computers and what, and that is not what the students expected to go do. They expected to do something challenging, or the real-time projects that the industry is working on. And then as I was listening to Kasera and Krez and Seblon, is that they are in fear, especially with Kasera said he's in fear of giving big projects to students, because he's working on a national level, so he's scared that will expose the company or something. That is very much understandable. But now, how do we cap that if students are not given that real-time projects? Because at universities, the problem that we have is that we focus on the curriculum. We go in that line, and then you are having maybe perhaps 4 or 3 months for the course, like if it's a semester course, or if it's a year course, then we're looking to 6-month course delivery. And then now, what the projects that we give to students aren't adequate enough to meet up with the industry expectations, so to say. So now, the challenge that we have is that if that industry could at least give the students the real-time projects, or if they could intervene or collaborate with the universities, so to say, and say that, okay, we will be giving the students these challenges to do from time to time, then it will be okay. Then the students will understand the concept of what is in the industry. Because the lack is that what we offer at universities doesn't match up much with what the industry offers. Okay, especially now Kasera and Chris focused on the gap that is in the design, that I understand, and database architecture. Yeah, that I believe the students don't really grasp so much as to design database architecture, like with ERD. They understand the concept of the ERD. Of course, the DFDs, they understand the knowledge. They say there's a lack of knowledge there, the knowledge deficiency is there. And yes, now how do we cap that? How do we put them to the extent of getting them to know? That is when the industry, they need to come in the platform of giving our students a real projects. We need a real project. Like, for example, I understand Hilma on her idea of saying, no, we need to be, they need, with the communication skill, you get information and some of the knowledge from schools or from the seminars. But yet, as a university now, we are also standing at that challenge. Now, that is what I have, that is my take in our discussion.
Okay, thank you, Esther. So we move over to Kapwire.
Thank you. See, from my angle, the question is, what are the challenges in making, okay, what, like, for example, to make them employable? Now, there's a difference, from my side, there's a difference between students being employed and a student getting internship. So we need to split them out, because getting an internship is just for a contract for a couple of months where they are having to meet some learning outcomes in order for them to see whether they are going to get employed. Yeah, so I mean, when I understand the question, I looked at the different angles, and specifically looking at software developers, and having engaged with the industry for a couple of years now, and you've come to realize some of the key aspects that make students not to get employed and so on. Okay, some of them, for example, is like the high expectations. The high expectations from the industry is sometimes a little bit very, very high, because that as an academic environment, like institution, we are grooming students, and part of our curriculum is for the students to get exposed, and getting exposed is for them to be able to go into the industry and learn the culture on how to work. So normally there's a big gap between the student and also them getting employed in the industry, because the moment when they enter employment, the expectations from the industry is that they need to be ready. While they're still in an academic setup, they're still in a learning environment where they are learning a skill, and that also has a lot of challenges. And normally when they start getting engaged in the environment, they have a couple of months to show that they can do it. And then if the company is not happy, and normally if it's an intern, they get 3 months, and then they are not employed. And so that is one of them being a problem. And also, obviously, that also entails also because there's a lack of experience as well. The students, they are in an academic setup, they are learning and so on. And okay, it is a gap when they have to apply that academic exposure into the industry setup. That gap is a little bit, it's big. And obviously that evaluates to the high expectation also from the industry. And another thing as well, what I've also realized during the years is that, one thing that also makes students to struggle to get employed is their academic records and their marks. Sometimes the industry would okay, we want the best students, or we want the highest students, or highest performing students. And then that creates a challenge, because now what happens is that maybe 50, if there's 100%, maybe 50% if they have low marks. So there's a tendency that they will not be employed and so on. So normally that we cater, then they get offline projects, but then again, it makes it difficult for them to get that practical exposure from the industry themselves. And also another aspect which is very critical is the business ethics and culture of the industry. When years of doing this, we've also realized that students, they can be technically sharp. Software development, they are coding, design, whatever aspects are fine. But then, for example, they struggle just to understand the business ethics and the culture that is there, because they are used to, this academic era. And then now the transformation becomes a little bit difficult. So those are some of the key elements that are very challenging, that makes it difficult for the students to be employed. Yeah, I think that's for now what my take is on this.
Thank you, Kasira. Over to no Kasira, Kapwire. Over to Titus.
Well, thank you very much. It's such a wonderful discussion. I would like to start off by saying, well, addressing the gap in software engineering graduate skills, we actually have to approach in different ways. In case of academia, for example, we are actually two different worlds. So we need somehow to collaborate. So me, myself, I always assume that there are gaps within software engineering market. And basically I relate that to say, most of the skills that are most important in the industry is that they need graduates that have hard skills or technical abilities. That's why, as an educator, for example, I have to actually integrate, some topics that actually allow a student to master all the levels of software engineering. For example, like all the 7 steps of SDLC, and also to familiarize themselves with different languages and software tools. At the very same time, we also assume that the industry expects students that have soft skills. So in this way, we actually have to encourage students in such a way that they have to upgrade when it comes to communication. They have to be good in teamwork. They have to exercise their leadership skills. And then of course, they also have to do, they have to be innovative and creative at the same time. So we normally do this by actually giving group work. Lastly, also on skill is that we also assume that the industry expects professional skills. So in this way, we actually encourage our students to stick to ethics and also to ensure integrity within their work. Now, when it comes to the academia, we don't really have any other means of responding to the gaps except from actually evaluating and changing the curriculum. That's actually the only tool that we can use and integrate all the expectation of the industry. So now looking at the 3 challenges that Madam Chair has actually stated, like the lack of faculty awareness and the project disconnections, and also the resource limitations. Well, in terms of lack of faculty awareness, it's actually quite true. And then I really think that somehow the faculties try by all means to actually engage companies in different ways and try to understand their expectations. So in this case, like in my view, I feel that the faculties normally encourage events such as actually maybe coming up with funded innovation challenges. That's some kind of competition that will be funded by the companies. And of course, in that way, the company exhibit their skills, their expectation to their university graduates. When it comes to now project being disconnected from the industry itself, normally like at the beginning of every year, we always have research project. And before we actually agree on to what topic we are going to look at, like for myself, I normally encourage my students to go out there and try to find problems that they can actually propose solutions to. And then in their coming back, like they have to tell me, I have found these problems and I intend to actually solve it this way. So that's now how we end up actually concluding on the topic. So the only way we can actually measure the graduate's ability, knowledge, and skills is actually by carrying out research project. And by doing so, we assess their technical skills, that's now in terms of programming. And then we also test their teamwork, like if they are able to actually collaborate with anybody from the market and all that. And then that's actually how we actually address the issue on the skills. Now, coming to the limitation of resources, believe me, resources are scarce everywhere. And I'm saying this because, of course, we have actually seen that most of the computers are made in China, for example. And then, trust me, they are also going through the same process as we are going. So, although we might have labs that are well equipped in terms of, computers or whatsoever, we are facing challenges such as sometimes we cannot accommodate all students to carry out all the practicals. At the same time, we also need to provide protections to such equipment to reserve them for the future. And then, of course, we also may have issues of space. You might have 4 labs, but then they cannot accommodate students at the same time. So those are actually the challenges. And in my view, from the academic side, normally it has a negative impact when it comes to to implementing, the skills that are actually required by the industry. So that's how we are currently dealing with such deficiency in knowledge and skills from the academic perspectives.
Okay. It's fine, Thaddeus, please go ahead.
Yes, basically that's all I wanted to say when it comes to the skill deficiency in the market. And like I have actually exercised my reasons why we are actually failing to actually, you know, closing this gap is due to various reasons. One being actually not being aware exactly maybe what the market expect. And then of course, sometimes we may actually lack, sponsorship from the market and all that. And then of course, we are also affected by the fact that we don't have all the resources required to actually accommodate students and give them all the necessary skills as they may require.
Okay, thank you, Thaddeus. So this question goes to the academics, and then and then the software engineers from the industry will, of course, give their comments. So currently, actually, in the field of computing, I would say, technology keep advancing. So this makes our degree, the computing degrees, to be an excellent employment opportunity. However, we have seen a trend in upcoming alternative path to industry, basically such as coding boot camps. So a coding boot camp basically is just a program. So it's actually an intense program of software development. So you can, for example, attend it for a week, where you really focus on getting, a certain skills in programming. So to the academics, how can academic institutions remain a relevant choice for students who want to become software professionals? And how would you weigh the importance of the formal degree in relation to the short courses, or basically the industry certificates? Because now the degrees at university, they go for 4 years, or of course, if you want to go further to masters, another 2 years. But at the same time, we have these certificates that you can do, and then get employment as well. So I can start off. We can start off with Kapwire.
Thank you. Sorry for that. Yeah, one thing that we should really, when we want to do this, we need to market it properly to the students, because I think already this has a different understanding from a student, especially if they don't understand what the difference is between a certificate and a degree. That is sometimes from some of the schools from an early stage, they are equipped or they are trained on how to understand what the difference is, and so on. And then obviously, what we always do is, like, we always have where we go to the schools in order for them to us to engage them, in order for us to inform them on the various qualifications. For example, what is a certificate, what is a degree, and so on. This is something that should be known, especially if we are targeting on educating our software developers. And obviously, going further, we all, from a marketing perspective and also information sharing, it's important for the students to understand that, for example, a certificate is narrowly focused, and it only explores a specific need to work on in a specific industry, which is not something bad and so on, but it's only focused on that specific skill. While, for example, a degree covers a whole foundation, and where a student can learn a lot of skills, and even for them to be able to 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 become a well-rounded student with a broader understanding in the industry as a whole. So these are key things that needs to be exercised and advertised accordingly, and so on. And currently, it's taking place and so on. And when I'm answering this, I'm also not, when the message is not to say that certificates are bad or anything. It's just to say that that can be an added advantage at a later stage once a student, and especially we are talking about software developer, once a software developer has acquired a big spectrum of skills from a formal education, from a degree, from these 3 years, because they are learning a lot of skills, they are engaging and so on. And with that, if they've got that background, then they can earn those certificates, just to to build on their careers and so on. So that, yeah, I think that can cover up everything. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Kapwire. Over to Titus.
Okay, thank you, Ndapewa. Well, my views on formal degrees, courses, and industry certificate is that I always recommend students that normally ask me about such to actually always consider having at least the first degree. Reason being is that I always tell them that once you have your first degree, you are actually getting more knowledge and quality training compared to the certificate. If you decide after grade 12 that you're only going to do a certificate, trust me, you are not going to accomplish, or you are not going to get all the 4 skills required by the industry as stated before. So I see the certificate is actually a way of actually bridging up, you know, by actually where you see that perhaps you want to focus on a specific skills that you want to upgrade. For example, maybe you want to be good in Java, for example, then you decide to do, you know, programming in Java. Or if you want, perhaps like in terms of networks, you want to be a network engineer. After your first degree, of course, then you can actually decide to actually enroll for a certificate that will allow you to be an expert of that specific skill. In view of now the short courses, I still value them because we can use them as a tool normally to close the gap in skills that we may actually lack in a particular subject. So it's still useful, and this you can normally just do it within a week or 2 weeks. And then at the end of the day, you can actually get knowledge from that, and you build wisdom from that foundation that you got from the certificate. So I highly recommend that at least every aspiring student should at least aim for the first degree. And then after your graduation, then you can always now decide whether to go in academia or in the industry. And if you are going in the software industry, then you have perhaps want to focus on one specific skills that you want really to have like an impact on. So that's how I normally rate the 3 assessments.
Okay, thank you, Titus. Esther, would you like to comment on that?
Oh, yes. Just to add on what Titus said, I would also recommend short courses on the basis of the fact that maybe if the student would have gained more knowledge or would have gained a degree first, because we understand that the degree carries more weight than the short courses. But the thing about the short courses is that it's needed to supplement or enhance the existing knowledge, which should be already there. And then they can only get that knowledge as from the full-time degree. So in that regard, it's good. Short courses are actually good because they focus on specific skills, while the full-time degree covers a whole coverage of the whole software development or software engineering. But as for the short course, it specifically goes on the line of a specific skill. Like, for example, you want to acquire certification in Java or networking, as Mr. Haidua said. So I would recommend it to students only if they have already obtained a degree, so that they may enhance their knowledge that is already existing. Because short courses sometimes are in great demand, and then they add on that possibility of them getting employed or becoming more employable. And again, to answer the question of how do we keep the universities become more like a magnet to students coming to study at our universities, is that if we can have this collaborative thing between the industry and the universities in the process of the curriculum development, then it will be a good thing, because in that process we may be able to incorporate in the professional experiences from the industry, and then we can embed it inside our curriculum. And then if they are both incorporated together, then I think it will be a bit of a way we can able to elicit this gap between the industry and then the university. And then I think in that way we'll be able to produce more involved students that are well equipped and then well trained, so to say. Because if we have incorporated what the industry does and then what we are doing at universities, then at the end of the day, our students will be well equipped, just like the way it is done in the health sciences. Students already start from first year going to hospitals and clinics, and then all the way long up to the time they are done with their degrees. If we can incorporate that in the software development as well, I'm sure at the end of the day, we will produce more employable graduates. That's my take for now.
Thank you very much, Esther. So just to build up on what the academics said, I would actually like to hear the view from Hilma, Chris, Casera, and Seblon. So what is your view on these certificates? And then maybe just in short, what do you think is the role of university-industry collaboration in producing software engineering graduates with employable skills? And what are your suggestions to integrate, industry and expectation, basically? So just in short.
Oh, do I go first? Yeah, I think the discussion is becoming very interesting, and it's good that this question is actually being discussed. You see, I think the university plays a very, very big role because I've seen students who really, those who I think studied very well, I don't know, but you can see when you train them, when you're busy teaching them something, they pick it because they understand the fundamental. And I think that's the importance of the university, where it gives that fundamental, and then when they come to the industry, like the thing with the certification, I'll say, when you join a company and you see that a company, for example, uses these specific tools, then you get to certify. Then you become an asset to the company. You get me? So instead of certifying before, if you certify before, it's fine, but sometimes it's tough luck. But if you certify while you're already attached to a company, you become an asset. You stay longer to that company. So you become almost irreplaceable because you have that specific skills. So for example, if you come to a company, you notice they use Sage, then you certify in Sage. So you become, instead of hiring consultants in Sage, you become the in-house person, and they don't need to be paying people outside. So the university is still very much relevant. I don't think the short courses can ever replace the university degree. But now to bridge the gap, I think like the other lady mentioned, if it's possible from the first year, students come on, first year, let's say December holiday, they are exposed, they get work somewhere for, even if it's just 3 weeks, they get work, and by the time they are in their 4th year, they would have matured in terms of professional behavior. And when they start looking for jobs, they are much ready, because right now the reality is 80% are not, you see. Now, I also think the lecturers, the ones that are teaching, also need to tap into industry experience. So we obviously understand that when you're in academic, you are more on research. But I think because technology is changing, it's changing, and it's changing fast. So I feel if it ever gets to a point, I don't know how it's even going to be possible, where there are projects where some of the lecturers, let's say if you're teaching programming, you actually do work on some programming. Let's say there's a project, let's say at NBC or at Nampower, the lecturers actually come and be involved, even if it's not full-time. Then they get to see what the industry is actually happening. And if this is done yearly, then when you teach your students, you teach them as per the current. You hear me? So I think that will be the only way to really bridge the gap. And maybe to finish it off, there's a need. I think there's a need for some form of software engineering body whereby it's governed by people from the industry and people from the academic. So it's governed in such a way that when you graduate, it's just like how the engineering body is in Namibia. As you are working, you show what skills you are acquiring, what projects you're delivering, and then it gives you points. And once you reach a certain level, you then become a member, you get a certificate, and it makes you much more employable, because right now the truth is when people are being employed, the guys with the degrees are competing with the guys with the certificates there. So it's a whole panel, and sometimes you get the guy with the degree and he's underperforming, the guy with the certificate is overperforming, and vice versa. So for the industry, and I'm speaking from an employer's perspective, if somebody, let's say, has gotten that accreditation that he is now part of the Namibian Software Engineering Institute or something, then I can be rest assured that these minimums have been ticked. I don't need to struggle so much. So that industry gap, it starts from training from the first year. The teachers, the lecturers need to get involved, and then having some form of body that can kind of filter on the level of quality of the people. So when you have it, that means you are quality. You know, just like in South Africa, is the same as well. So we need to think around that.
Okay, just to add on what Joseph has said, so we must acknowledge that we have an ecosystem of software engineering, let me say organizations, institutions. So we need to make sure now that this ecosystem is well connected through a body. Through a body like a Software Engineering Society of Namibia, or whatsoever it can be called. So whereby government is participating, the private sector is participating, the institutions are participating. And now through that body, we can come up with joint industry academia projects whereby maybe students and industry are doing some kind of projects, even like maybe for non-government organizations, they might be requiring some software solutions, but they do not have money to pay for them. You could, through this body, you could run projects to make software solutions for them. And then even the continuous curriculum reform, because it must be done by both the labor market and also the employers and the universities, because how fast and how long the gap remains there, it depends. It actually depends on how fast also you change the curriculum. One thing we need to know is that, okay, there's technological change. There's modern trends coming up every now and then. And then at the same time, there must be continuous curriculum reform. There must be continuous learning. And also maybe the internship program in Namibia, I think maybe it needs to be restructured. Because right now, you know, I have kind of a problem with, because, okay, the students will come for internship maybe when they're in their fourth year of study. And now it's like, I want to have them 8 hours a day. But then it's like they will come sit in the morning, in the afternoon, say, okay, we have a class at 2:30. I'm quickly running for class. Oh, I'm going to write this. So now this one also now it disturbs the kind of attention that or the time that I want to spend with them. I wish I could have them, like, let me say, for these 3 months, they are strictly with me. I know they need to complete their degrees, but the fact that, okay, they come for internship at the same time is like they are being pulled now on both sides. This side, they must go and write tests, they must go and do assignments for other subjects. Here, the industry, I'm also trying to train them, I'm also trying to teach them what happens in the industry. And then now their attention is divided between the two. And then, yeah, later on, I might assess them because I will say they are not good, but maybe it's because I didn't have enough time with them. So ideally, so we need to have an ecosystem that is created through a body, and then from there, we can start to address all these things now, like joint industry academia projects, curriculum review through this body, and all these kind of things, they can be restructured.
Okay, Ms. Maria?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. And yeah, this the question that you ask is not as straightforward as you make it sound, because it can go on the whole day to talk about it. Yeah, because we when we are looking at this as question, there are three stakeholders involved. There's the industry, who are looking at it from a okay, make money, okay, financial aspect, and then we have the academic, who are looking at the academic setup to groom the student, and who the student themselves is also being part of the stakeholders. So those three aspects need to be outlined in this kind of questioning, because the thing is this: all three components should benefit from this process, or either we fail as a group, or either we succeed as a group. All three stakeholders. For example, when we say that, for example, when we're talking about short courses, for example, we want to create a software developer that is sustainable, not that is hooked to one concept. So that's why when we say that, for example, short courses are narrowed, it's like saying that, okay, you take a student, you groom them, they get comfortable with that equipment. Now that it also, that student also get hooked onto that specific company. The moment if that student wants to go to another company, which is using a different concept as a software developer, they will need to go and, then this short certificate that they did now, it's not sustainable anymore. Then it means that, for example, if you're doing, let me give an example, they were doing Oracle. Now they go and then they do something completely different they want to do. It means that they will have to start over from scratch. That's why I was saying that all these things, it's important for students to understand the differences and so on, and also for the three stakeholders to get comfortable in making all three stakeholders understand what is at stake. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Kapwire. Seblon, would you like to add something? Okay, so Kapwire will actually continue, with this conversation next year, right? So at the end of the day, we actually want to bring, the industry and academia and. Okay.
More especially what Kapwire. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Seblon, we can hear you.
Okay. Right. All right. From my perspective, the way I see it is, our company is having opportunities, and what I see is something that can be replicated. And I think if it's replicated enough, what I see that should happen between the private sector and the public institutions and institutions are doing research as a side, as an add-on, but it's not put between the industry and the academia. What I strongly feel is that the industry need to start collaborating and doing action. When the academia's lecturers are involved in action research, and then when they are involved in action research, they bring in the students' perspective. Then that is what will then create a value for both the stakeholders. Both the industry is getting value, the lecturers are getting value, and also the students are getting value. And this action research should actually be real projects that are creating tangible solutions that are addressing problems in the ecosystem. I feel that is how we can then bridge that gap, and I see that with these kind of engagements, the lecturers are able to write papers and do publications, which contributes to their profession, to the academia side of building of levels in professionalisms and all that, and the students are also getting an opportunity and the platform that allows them to learn and master what is in the industry. And then from the industry perspective, we are working with the academia, and they're having some of this research component and development to be taken care of by the industry, by the academias. So really there's willingness from both sides. I think it's just a matter of creating the right platforms that allows both to engage and then create values for both stakeholders.
Thank you very much, Seblon. And we actually out of time, so we've come to the end of our discussion. It was quite a great discussion. But then before I ask the panelists to give their final remark, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Professor Erki Sutenen from the University of Turku, and just ask him to say a word or two about the University of Turku plugin campus, which is based here in Windhoek. Professor Erki, thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you very much, and altogether, thank you everyone for this great discussion. With a lot of ideas and opportunities to elaborate for the future of learning. So I would just like to start. I will have a little bit more than 1 or 2 words, but hopefully not too many. You all know Richard Branson. In one of his books, he's very active in Africa. He suggested that instead of these traditional universities in Africa, there would be an opportunity to set up what he calls a traveling university that actually would explore, in the context on the ground. And actually, just the past 2 weeks, I was traveling with 2 undergraduate students of UNAM, 2nd and 3rd year students throughout the country for like almost 2 weeks, for about 3,000 kilometers. And we were, going to local communities, local homes. I was also staying at one point at one of the students' grandmother's farm close to Kamanyap in a house made of corrugated iron. We were all, staying overnight in the same cabin. And what we saw during these 2 weeks that, Namibia has great opportunities for IT solutions, novel kinds of IT solutions that would actually work on the ground, to be co-designed with people and to make a big difference in this country and beyond. So I'm leading what we call a plug-in campus of my Finnish University of Turku. Maybe Maria can send or on the chat the website of the campus so you can learn more. And what UNAM, it's at the premise of UNAM. And I was talking, several times with the International Relations Director of UNAM, Dr. Romanus Sivoro, and he said that, what UNAM's expectations is from this plug-in campus. Plug-in campus meaning that, it's plug in a Finnish university into existing infrastructure. So the expectation is for this plug-in campus to accelerate and catalyze, the university, especially for a stronger software engineering community or ecosystem in Namibia, and see like how that also could be promoted by different kind of software engineering and computing education in general. So just a few remarks of this discussion. I think that one of the things that I would like to maybe discuss more later is like, what is the relation between competencies and qualifications? Like Namibia has this national qualifications agency for assessing the degrees, but it would be very interesting to see like how much companies are interested in getting graduates with NQA assessed formal degree, or whether it's more like emphasis on competencies. Because in Finland it seems to be that most employers are more interested in not like degree holders, but people actually who can who can deliver, who can create, who can interact. even if they don't have a degree. One thing that, you know, like I also paid a little bit attention was that, okay, towards the end of discussion, we were talking more about innovation, creativity, and maybe initiative of employees, especially young employees, like how, you know, how open the industries are actually to receive the initiative of the recently graduated students. Maybe also talk a little bit about startups. You know, we touched that also, you know, towards the end of discussion by the example of Sebulon also. Like, you know, and maybe how the startups and bigger companies can actually work together. Like, what is that sort of dynamics? I liked, you know, maybe it was Christoph that, you know, brought up this idea of ambiguity, like how the young graduates actually cope with uncertainty and ambiguity. And I think that was a very, very valuable viewpoint. I think that, you know, mostly at universities, we always give like students kind of closed assignments, whereas we should much more give like open assignments to actually explore and understand the problems rather than just solve the problems. And I think this is also something that we can do when we explore, when we are in this traveling university, more actually with the students and with some of my, like Anna Sipepe is here also, lecturer. So we are going to write a paper, academic paper on this traveling university and like how that would encourage to rethink, you know, academia in the context of Namibia. Then I think we were talking a lot about curriculum. I think that in many African universities, but also in many European universities, these curriculum design or development projects are like almost like endless and, you know, like very bureaucratic. I think that, you know, we should really like, I think there is a demand for a more open, proactive and iterative curriculum. So curriculum is not something like you design, especially in computer science or software engineering, like for 5 years. I think that it needs to be renewing based on industry, based on, you know, other stakeholders' interests and ideas all the time, not just once a year, but all the time. Also, I think that that maybe, you know, within that sort of like process, we should have much less pressure. I mean, many students talk about academic pressure throughout, you know, the semesters and it's very much like, you know, kind of promoted at this formal or maybe, you know, to written examinations and tests and so on. So maybe, you know, I think it might be that, you know, maybe this open curriculum would be a bit more relaxed, but then it doesn't mean that you compromise with the quality. I mean, probably with less pressure, you can get like improve the quality and more like, you know, what students really learn and be passionate about. Maybe less lectures or, you know, shorter lectures and that sort of stuff. There was quite a lot of, you know, emphasis, especially in the beginning of the discussion on even, I would say, pressure to deliver, so that, you know, employees need to be able to deliver. I understand it, that people need to be able to deliver, but maybe, you know, the aspect of pressure. And then, you know, I think that, you know, complementary to this pressure, we should maybe talk about freedom at the working place, even love at the freedom place, at the working place. So, you know, because I think that this is something like, you know, what really, you know, inspires, you know, everyone at the working place, you know, to get the best out of themselves and out of others, like, you know, these relationships. So anyway, within this plugin campus, you know, like, and this is my last remark, is that, you know, we were about to deliver a master degree program, Finnish master degree program in software engineering. But just based on the traveling university experience, my recent, you know, discussions also with the Associate Dean of School of Computing, Prof. Mufeti, and others, my new dean at my university in Finland. So we think that maybe rather than just, you know, importing a Finnish master degree program here to Namibia, we should actually rethink the whole master program. Maybe it could be like, not just for software engineering, like, but more like computing. And we would be very happy as my university to develop this Finnish degree program with industry, which means that with all you guys and also the students, so that you know, it would then be a program, master program, in computing running here at our FT lab, our plugin campus, but it would be run together with industry so that the students would actually learn by projects and various other works. You mentioned marketing, influencing, training, whatever, with industry. So you learn from not just by doing, but you learn from doing, from being, and finally from being respected, appreciated, and actually beloved. So I mean, I think this is possible, at least from the viewpoint of my university. I think it's more or less depends on Namibian industry's expectations or interest. If you are interested, so we are happy to do it with you, and we can start right after the turn of the year. Thank you very, very much for this very inspiring event, and thanks, Maria, to have moderated it in a highly professional way, and thanks for everyone for your very thorough and thoughtful ideas. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Prof. Sutanen. And I'll just ask the panelists to give 30 seconds of their final remarks, just 30 seconds, and then we can conclude the event. We can start off with Joseph.
No, thank you very much, Maria. Thank you to the students that are on the platform, that they shouldn't be afraid of the industry because of expectations. They are welcome to knock on doors, welcome to try new things. Yeah, I think that's all.
Thank you, Joseph. Thaddeus, would you like to say something?
Oh yes, Maria. Certainly, I would want to say that when it comes to industry and academia collaboration, I would like it when the companies bring also training to staff members, because we as educators, we are always not in the best position. So it would be better if the academia would also make an effort and train staff members. I would also want to see university collaborating. For example, the University of Namibia can also collaborate with NAST, and then they come up with a joint or dual program that could now require a student to complete the first year degree. I mean, first year, not programs, but courses, and then maybe the last 4 with UNAM. At the end of the day, we don't have really to say that one specific university is better than the other. So after all, we have, for the student, they have acquired knowledge from both institutions. So that will actually help to groom quality software engineer at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thaddeus. Chris, would you like to say something?
Yes, I'm actually excited. Okay, you organized this discussion, and I wish you can just maybe continue with it until something is born out of this discussion, because it's relevant, it's needed. Something must happen and something must be done so that we have something that is working. So I wish, I don't know on whose door you need to go and knock or what you need to go and do, but I wish if you can continue this until something positive or something concrete is born out of this discussion. Secondly, I see my former boss is also connected. I think he's connecting from Mauritius. If I can just also ask him to say something. Mr. Utam Pudase, are you there?
Hi, guys. Sorry, I wasn't meaning to stalk. Chris, thank you.
I know.
Hi, guys. Sorry, so actually, look, I was in Namibia for quite a while, and I worked with all the guys. So I was in Silnam as a software manager for around 10 years. And I've had a rich experience. And probably what I can tell you, one of the key things, and I concur with what Chris said earlier, in terms of the disconnect, it's nothing to do with how academia plans things. I think it's just from an industry perspective, when we deliver solutions, we need to make sure they work, and the room for, trial and error is removed. So that's why you will see the industry always trying to go towards things which are proven, which are working. And that's why you will see still COBOL and Oracle and Java are still persisting. Why as technologies? Despite not being the most user interactive or the most flashiest of tools, they work and they work consistently. So one of the key things is important is how do we take all of these existing, or let's say legacy products which could be there, and plug in on top, you know, the new technologies. So if I take the example of blockchain, how do I bring a blockchain technology on top of an existing Oracle database? So which will help the government, you know, reap the benefits of bringing, you know, that security, but also they've got multi-million investment, which they cannot just forego. So I think that's just to put in a nutshell, is innovation coming to sit on top of existing investment, and that's probably where the industry uh, will like and appreciate new ideas coming from academia. That's one of the key things I always wanted my students when they came from academia to bring to us. Unfortunately, at that point in time, it was not a lot coming in, but I hope it's going to change. And I'm sure Chris has given us some, I mean, you guys, some very good feedback. So thank you for getting me to talk, Chris. But guys, carry on. And I hope we get to see something which will allow Namibia to stand out and come up with a very, very creative center. You've seen what Ghana has done with Google on the left side of the world, of Africa. So I hope to see something there, and I might come around one day, guys. Thank you, Chris. So I'll let you guys continue.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Again, the floor over to you.
Okay. Esther, would you like to say something?
Oh yeah. I just want to close off with a gratitude to say thank you so much for hosting this. And then thank you to the fellow panelists for your great idea and incentives. And I would say I have learned a lot from this discussion, especially on the aspect of what is expected from the graduates. And then I can apply it as myself, and I can also take it to the lecture halls next year. And also to the fellow lecturers, if there is any, so my colleagues there as well, is that like Mr. Casera said, we also need to go out there to the industry to go check out the projects that are currently working on, so that we can bring it back to the academia, and perhaps we can also challenge ourselves with our students. They can as well, we can expose them, and then we expose ourselves as well. And then to the graduates and then to the students, please, it's not always about the industry or the university. It's also about ourselves as students, that we, like I remember when Hilma started off, she was asking herself a question, was she well prepared when she went to the industry? The question we should also ask ourselves as students is that, am I well prepared for the industry? Because we shouldn't always take or wait for the university to proper equip us, because that obviously won't happen as much as we expect. But they should also go out to things like this, attend things like this, discussions like this, seminars and workshops and stuff, because that is where we get to learn what is out there in the industry or what is out there on the market. For that, thank you so much. I really have enjoyed this, and I hope everybody did as well.
Thank you, Esther. Seblon? Seblon, are you there? Okay, so Kapure, would you like to say something?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Maria. Thank you for the opportunity for me and to come and share. And this is extremely amazing. And I mean, if we had enough time, we could have gone and discuss so that we can crack and get solutions around what we need to do. Yeah, so from my side, I would say that I think this discussion should continue, because like for me as an individual and also as a lecturer and also being a software developer, I always look at the bigger picture of saying that we need to to equip our software developers to the level that we can even send them abroad somewhere else to also go and test their capabilities somewhere else and so on. So I always look at it from that bigger aspect as well. And when we are engaging in this kind of discussion, especially with the stakeholders, it makes it more interesting because then we can also get to hear from their expertise, especially when it comes to expectations, what they require. And based on that, the students can also learn and acquire these skills that is needed from the industry, and also from us, and from an academic aspect, we can also uh, bridge the gap to say that, okay, the industry wants this, so that then we can also implement that within our teaching as well for day to day. For example, the keyword that was mentioned by Mr. Kasera, that one, critical thinking, that is one of my favorite word in my teaching as well, and especially when I'm grouping the software developers and when I'm preparing them for the industry. The very first week of my lessons is critical thinking. So because I tell them you need to be a critical thinker, especially when you are about to get ready to go into the industry. So you see, also it means that you see there's a what is it, a relationship between what the industry wants and so on, and what we also need to teach as well. So these discussions should continue and so on, so that we can bridge the gap between the various stakeholders. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kapwire. Hilma? Hilma?
Yes,
would you like to say something?
Yes, I think I would just conclude with saying that this was a good conversation. Just hearing what the industry expect from us graduates, because I believe I tell you, you are not always sure about what you are going to face there, and it's one of the scariest things ever you'd put yourself through, just thinking what how you're going to perform, or how everything is going to turn out. And maybe to graduates and the students who are about to graduate, it's just we should look at this as you're having two parents, right? Your academic could be your mother. For years she's telling you it's this and this and this, and then after a while expect to go to your father's place where you'll be told it's now this and this and this. And I mean, lessons will always never be the same. Your mom could, now the academia could forget to, or it is not knowledge enough in a certain aspect, which you would get up from the industry. So yeah, but it is exciting and nervous transition in life, but it's worth it, and it's a nice environment to go learn again and continue being the software developer that you want to be. I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Hilma. Seblon, are you there? Okay.
Yes, I am
Oh,
here.
okay. So Seblon,
Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you. Would you like to give your last remark?
Yes. I think what I see is that there's a lot of interest from both sides, the academia and then the private sectors or the industry. I think what should happen is, and wish to happen, is something that we have done with Glodom. That Glodom started as a project, research project at UNAM, and then it was then groomed by so many different people, and then it eventually became a company. I think what we should, the angle that we could take is that there is so much research ideas or startup ideas in those research that the graduates are having. But this research are collecting dust somewhere else. When they finish that, there is no a way of continuing those projects. So I think maybe what could happen is that there is definitely a need for money that should be pumped in to help identify startups or ideas that could be commercialized. But then there is a need to sustain the students or the graduates to work on their ideas for a certain period of time while being supported. Because without that support, financial support, they would go and look for jobs out there, and these ideas that they have could actually benefit and create more employment. So there is that opportunity for both the academia and the industry to partner up in actually nurturing these ideas and turn them into real businesses. But there is definitely a need for money to support the graduates during the time that they are working on their ideas, and also the exposure to get the investors on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Seblon. It was quite an interesting discussion, and we actually have to come to an end. You know, we have exhausted our time, and we could go on until next year. So with that, I would like to thank our esteemed panelists, the audience, for making time to be part of our webinar. And then the recording will be on the Glodom website and also on the University of Turku Plugin Campus website. I would also like to thank Ina Shivute from Glodom for organizing the webinar, and the whole Glodom and the University of Turku Plugin Campus team. So with that, it's all from my side, and I wish you a pleasant day. And thanks for your patience. And we apologize, of course, on the time, but yeah, it was quite interesting. That's why we went until 3:30. So I wish you a happy Human Rights Day, and bye-bye from my side. And I hope to see you, of course, in the upcoming webinars. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.